Did you get my voicemail yesterday? Yeah. Okay.
I went.
I know. Once they went to the game.
Oh no, I got a call from
Oh, okay. Which game? Braves game? No, really. Did you get Braves game?
Yeah, I didn't even make it myself.
Why?
Because me and I went with my brother and he had.
There you go. You did something.
He worked at Chili's.
Oh, so I was thinking.
They had. He wanted to get me.
I was going to say, yeah, Mine's Thursday. You're Virgo too, right? Yeah. How are you? 25th, yeah.
You keep it busy?
Yeah.
Find a way to wedge in a house or two in between the kids.
Okay. How old are you?
Yeah, I have to start asking that. Everybody does.
Wasting Boy Scouts and how's your son after his football career?
He's actually in
How's that going?
She's booming.
Seriously, I'm with the commercial is taking a gentle kick in the teeth. Do you find if
It's the same thing that people say, like, say about oh my God, how are you doing?
why doesn't that have to happen to him? Because a lot of those commercial loans, depending on which branch of commercial he's in, a lot of them come and due at the end of this year and they're going to have to refi. And it's going to be a little bit of an eye opener when those guys start refining at the new rates compared to what they did 5 years ago.
My favorite game is Elmer Fudd. The double stuff too. No, your brothers are good.
I mean, I never buy them because I
I live over in Roswell, but I like by the Woodstock area. I'm in East Cobb, but I'm in a tongue that is like no man's land between all three of them.
Like Cindy playing the show.
Avery Road.
Actually, I was there afterwards.
Oh, what is that?
I know that's the place that they can knock down trees and put up houses. They're trying. There's a farmer at the end of the big dip right there by the water. That I knew a girl that she wanted to go over and knock on his door and ask if she could buy the house. And she didn't want to invest the money into it. She wanted to buy a new house so that she could use it for no She had a traumatic experience where she fell off from the boat and the propellers chewed up her back. And the dog therapy helped her learn how to walk. So anyway, her family is well-to-do. They wanted to explore the idea of buying a farm and having it for no safety. But the guy said that there's actually 3 builders in Tennessee that had first right refusals in the land. And he was like, to be completely honest, the plans and the amount of ROI that to get out of it, you would have to pay like 3 times almost what land because they're going to come in there so much extra. I don't care what the real estate market is doing. They're going to keep on the market. Any builder would be smart to buy it because the land is it's like finding oil in the Middle East or something. You kick the dirt and you fly right below it, you know?
They look a lot like yeah, and they all look, you guys all look yeah.
Set up last Tuesday.
Let me get the lavender.
I get to go pick it out Saturday.
Oh.
And then I get to pick it up. She's only for itself, but they're all my God. So my goal
It's easier to know it's coming now.
Somebody give me some good news.
I got some good news.
Are you all? Some good news coming from my liver here.
The good news is that this lady right here is leaving for Spain this afternoon.
First time.
Her first time ever, and that's something.
That is wonderful. Other good news. Other good news. My grandson went back to school today. Mom and Dad are thrilled to have him back in school. I get that. I was glad to have him out of my house. So anyway, which is fun. So any other good news? We have sort of a visitor this morning. Adrian, you want to introduce our visitor?
This is my friend Lynn Pope, and she is an agent in Joining Color Wellness. She's moved a lot. She's amazing. I met her at an open house like 3 or 4 years ago, and she wanted to put we became instant friends that day, and so yeah, now she's coming.
And the lady sitting over there has this wonderful tan because she's bought a new house in Pool now, right? You love your house?
I love it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I have ideas for you.
Yes, ma'am.
2.5 months, my daughter's coming back.
From Japan?
Wow.
I thought you said you were gonna get married. I thought that's what it was.
Jesus precious, not good, right there.
That's.
Yeah.
And I love these guys. This is just enough for my one bourbon every night. This is good. This is good. All right. Any other good news we need to talk about? All right, somebody come on up. Who is first? Carrie, come on. Oh, by the way, if you were not at Mega Camp was amazing. Right there, we had a fabulous party.
Thank you. I was just about to say, what was your favorite part?
The party, of course.
Getting my picture with you.
Oh, stop. Say that to all the girls.
Yeah, that's gonna be the end.
You wanna get a picture?
Well, we were in the library and they had the fire going and it was 105 outside.
I know, that was
Not the
really
best thing you did, but anyway.
No, I did not do that.
Okay,
I
good.
don't think it really smelled good.
Oh, it was.
Oh, it did. Yeah, it was,
The
we had
food
our
was
event
great.
at we had our event at the Dudley Hotel, so they had 2 rooms, like joining. One was like a library with records, and then it opened up into this little secret, like speakeasy style bar. It was very funny, the difference in the pictures. Because you could tell, like the red room versus the other one.
Guess who lost his sunglasses and all?
I may have lost the sunglasses before because someone gave me the sunglasses. I thought, I have no idea who these are. And I said, so I gave them to somebody and now, anyway, someone lost their sunglasses, but they did not lose their phone this time.
I had those sunglasses for 10 years. When I told my son, he goes, the ones with the red on the side? I'm like, yeah. He goes, I've never seen you in any different sunglasses. I'm like, my birthday.
Well, lucky for you, we have some awesome, very expensive Thomas and Brown sunglasses downstairs.
Oh, I love them. Okay, one time the blue ones and the, I wear them for every tennis match. Even more. I love them.
I'll order some more today. I love it. Okay, well, this is not why I'm standing up here.
To take all these.
I'm just kidding, I kind of loved it. Well, I'm Terry with Thomas and Brown. Good to see everybody. We're your hopefully favorite preferred closing attorney. And we have offices all over, from Buckhead all the way up to Blue Ridge, so we can help you guys with closings in those areas of Metro Atlanta. And we have, actually this Thursday, I didn't send Kimberly a flyer, I was like looking for it. We are gonna do a pop-up Zoom if you missed our Steve class this month, Back to Basics. And we just kind of talk about contracts in depth. We talked about titles, closings, you know, just sort of going back to the basics of everything, because as we all progress in our careers, you know, you learn more stuff every day and you kind of forget like the main foundation. So it's a really good class. So we are going to do a little pop-up Zoom from 10 to 1. So I'll send out the link this evening when I get home to everyone if you're interested. Actually, I think what we have to do is send off email, and if you want to come, you respond so I can send you the link. That way it's not like a surprise thing or something.
When is that?
Weird rules. It'll be Thursday from 10 to 1. So we hope to see you there. Yes, sir. You and the Blacksburg.
Yes. Is the Zoom CD credit?
It is. Oh, yes. Forgive me. It is 3 hours of CD credits too. So if you need some credits, it's a great time. The only downfall is we won't be having lunch. You can have lunch, but you have to make it or buy it.
Now everybody can just watch you eat your lunch.
Turn off the volume.
I think we should Uber lunch to everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Jim. I'll let you handle that.
Can I get your credit card?
Yes, no, not after my review. Anyway, thank you guys.
Thank you, Terry.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Our favorite ball lender.
Favorite Falls lender. You didn't have to put the qualifier in there. Whatever. Take it away, Danielle.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Danielle with Silverton Mortgage. Wanted to give you guys an update on interest rates today. They're about 7.5% for a well-qualified conventional buyer. We like to remind our buyers that we do have that refinance special, that if they refinance within 3 years of their closing date, we will waive lender and appraisal fees. So I feel like that kind of makes people feel good because there's a lot of strong indicators that rates are going to go down by next year. So that's it.
It's about $2,000 savings, and it does kind of give people a little bit of comfort level. And I think it's also a reminder of that thing. I know it's become a cliche now. It's like, was it Married at the House, Dated Rate? Sorry, I was going to get that wrong, and then I have it all mixed up. But, and I think, guys, you know, what do y'all think the biggest issue right now is in real estate, in our area? Just talk about our area. What's the biggest issue?
Inventory.
How does that, what's causing the low inventory?
Sellers don't give us the rate.
So if you really think about it, interest rates are the problem. They're just not as much for the reason you think they are. So, because people go, oh, the interest rates are a problem because housing payments are too high. And Angela pointed out the other day, the last time I mentioned this, because I don't ever say anything that's really new, I just keep saying the same thing over and over. But Angela mentioned the other day, there's a good number of people who either now can't qualify or who it's pushed the payment up to the point that they're not super comfortable. But I will say that's a percentage. I think it's a bigger problem that there are people who have 3.5% interest rates. So one of the statistics, I would encourage you guys, if you didn't watch that first session from Mega Camp from last week, it's about 1 hour and 10 minutes long. I would encourage you to go watch it because he says some of the same stuff that we've been hearing over and over. And it's a fact, there's about 60-something% of the people in the United States have an interest rate that's below 4%. And if I'm sitting, let's say if I had retired, and I'm sitting in East Cobb in my house with a 3.5% interest rate, and my wife and I would really like to downsize, but we are gonna have to have a mortgage, I don't really want to go do a 7.5% interest rate. And so I think there's a pent up supply that's going to be released into the market whenever we see interest rates drop. Because for me, if I'm Mr. Potential Home Seller, the idea of going from a 3.5 to a 5.5 maybe is a little more palatable than, a lot more palatable than going to 7.5, Gabe.
All right, I've got a weird question that I just
So surprised. Go ahead.
That's what I bring to the table for you. All right, what would happen if tomorrow, if the Fed dropped everything and all of a sudden magically interest rates went to like 4 to 4.5%? What do you think would happen to the value of houses now?
Zipping up.
I bet that they'd probably take like a $25,000, $30,000, $50,000 jump because all of a sudden the bidding wars would come back with like angry.
Well, I think some of that depends on how much inventory flows in, but the problem is the degree of the undersupply. It's not this much undersupply, it's this much undersupply. So what happens is all these people put their house on the market and they brings the undersupply from here to here, right? We're still undersupplied. And he talks about the slowdown in home building since 2007, huge factor, huge factor. Actually, Authorine has a slide deck right here. There's a slide in there I wanted to look at. I was looking at it just a minute ago. The number of people of home buying age that are hitting the market right now, it was something like 30-something million, wasn't it?
Yeah, so when you add those numbers of new households that are going to be created, which means kids leaving college, right, leaving apartments and whatnot, just that alone, there's like a 5 million home shortage. If they all wanted to buy today, they can't. There's not enough roofs.
Yeah. So the gist of this is, and it's not just from Gary Keller, but I also watched another economist last week. When this thing turns, I just want to encourage you guys, you need to be ready. And this is where, during this season right now, is where I think you got to figure out, is my profession a realtor, or am I just doing this part-time? Because right now, you're in a tough time, but this is the time to get out and plow the field. This is the time to pull the weeds. This is the time to have all those potential buyers and sellers teed up and ready, and even have that conversation. Find out why, like Mr. Smith, I know you thought about selling your house. Tell me what's going on. Tell me what's your holdup, and listen, and then bring that in. So what I'm hearing is, if rates drop into the 5s, are you going to be sprung loose to put your house on the market? If that's the case, why don't we go ahead and start doing some of those things to get it ready? So as soon as that time comes, you can pull the trigger and be one of the early people to get your house on the market and get it sold. There's a lot of conversations to be had, and I want you guys to be encouraged. If nobody knows exactly when this is going to happen, but if history tells us anything, which is debatable, if history tells us anything, this is going to turn, and when it does, there's going to be a lot of business. And a lot of people think that there's going to be a 3 or 4 or 5 year stretch where we're all going to do well. But you're going to need to be postured to be ready. And I would say we got to change the mindset. One second.
If you look at new home builds, way back 1.7, look at what we.
Well, this is right here. If you guys can see the line, this is 2005. 1.7 million new homes built, and look at how it dropped. So and this is the supply line right here to keep the housing supply steady. We got a lot of catching up to do, and I don't know that new home construction is going to actually carry it. We got to have some resales
And affordable housing too.
Well, that is a huge issue, and you guys think about that sometimes. Sometimes it's easy to just think about that as a political issue, but think about the practical issue if you're a home builder. That's a hard call to make. I've got 20 acres of land. I can build $500,000 houses and sell every daggone one of them, or I can build houses at $275,000. I mean, your good heart at some point only goes so far, right? But so something's got to give in that. Thank you. So anyway, guys, I want you to be encouraged. I would say right now is the time to get out and do the unglamorous work of plowing the field, because when the crop starts coming, it's coming. Yes, ma'am.
We have an election coming up.
I've heard about that. I will think about it.
Rates will typically drop in favor right beforehand, so that the party in position can maintain position. So
And fuel prices.
I think we're ticking up for the drop to hit right before, just like the student loan announcements.
Yes, doesn't that, you're probably right. That bothers me so much. It bothers me that we're all getting manipulated to a certain amount, but you're probably right. I would say that next year, because the election's next November, right? Yeah, you're gonna see rates coming down, and everything, a lot of stuff should be looking rosy. Yeah.
Yeah, but in the meantime, have your buyers check in with their loan officer to
Yes.
see if they're still qualified for their pre-approved amount that
There
they
you go.
have on their pre-approval letters.
Splash of reality from Danielle.
Yeah.
You're right. 40th year in real estate, and I will tell you that it's a fact that the market is gonna change, and they change it every year. And look at me right now, everybody, get off your computers, look at me right now, okay, for a second, okay? And what's gonna happen, you're gonna call your best friend, hey, Mary, how's it going, market's changed. I haven't heard from you, I just listed my house with somebody else. And you're gonna lose business because you did not talk to your client base and get ready for this. When it happens, so how many listings do we have right now? Anybody have any idea? Give me a number.
How many ones?
4,800.
How many?
4,800.
That's very close. 4,800, like 4,500. Okay. What a normal market is how many listings about? 14,000 for land. 70, 19, there, about 14,000. That's where we're gonna go. Once this thing hits 5.5%, that's where it's gonna go like that. And you're gonna be sitting on the sidelines going, oh, I should have called my database. So as Reed says to people, call them right now, because get ready, because when it comes, it's gonna come like that. And guys, I want you to be ready, because we lead the amount of listings, we lead the amount of sales. So guys, get ready. Yes, ma'am.
So I just did yesterday the stats, as you have an
thank you for
idea.
that.
Yeah, so in East Cobb, as of today, there are East Cobb, 297 homes, which is not in all price range. Sprayberry, Lassiter, Polk, Walton, Roswell High School. Wheeler, yeah. 297.
That's about how many agents we have in our office,
Yeah.
okay? So if everyone sold one, there's nothing left.
The good news, the average price point of East Cobb is, no, 574. And average price in Midtown is 650, so we're not that far.
Okay. There is some discussion about these old strip shopping centers. They're sitting there with nobody using them, about tearing those down and putting affordable housing there, which I think is brilliant. But the cost to retrofit that is very expensive, and so who's gonna pay for that?
I want to recommend a book, guys. There's a book called Strong Towns, and it talks about how the model of what makes a strong city was wrong for so many years, and what's going to make it, what would strengthen it. And the issue with that right there is you would be stunned at how much tax base comes from those crummy little shopping centers that have a Western Union store and a vape shop. You would be stunned at how much sales tax comes from there. And that book, I would recommend to read it. I found it fascinating. It's called Strong Towns, and it's important because we got to do cities differently than what we've done in the past to be viable.
We gotta have startup housing, guys. It's gotta happen sometime.
All right, y'all, back from mega camp, new fall, everybody's got stuff to do, you're plowing your fields, getting stuff ready. We have new product rolling out September the 18th. So with fall and when those deals come, First American is gonna offer basically a 3-tier plan now. So we'll have the max plan. When you look at different options for things in life, you're like, okay, this is like basic coverage, this is what it covers, there's more coverage here, and then there's the absolute most coverage here. Knowing what those things are, because y'all, we can't change things once things happen to find out, oh, well, if I had added this $100 option or $110 option, then it would have saved me $1,500. It's not how it works. You've got to have the coverage to make sure it's there. First American, there's no age limit to systems, so we have some of those old systems that cover all the old R22 that's $220 something a pound, we cover that. No limit on the number of systems, no dollar limitation on HVAC for buyers. So as these systems continue to increase in price and the cost of repairs and replacements have continued to increase in price, connect your clients with me. If you're not comfortable explaining everything, I mean, it is part of their thing to be able to stop, take a minute, you're like, hey, you need to talk to this person, you need to talk to this person, do your homework. Connect them, that's what I'm here for, is to be a partner with y'all, to be able to answer those questions. You know, maybe they don't want that, and I explain it, you explain it, you sign off a waiver, hey, they're not gonna get a home warranty. They can't come back to you on the back end and say, hey, I wish I'd have gotten it, or why didn't I get it? You're like, we gave it, you offered, it didn't come from sellers, all the different things, but just have those conversations with them. I'm gonna have some stuff getting emailed out to you to talk about the products, but the max plan that we're offering is gonna include our First Class Plus, which covers, it's gonna be renamed Codes, Mods, and More. We don't cover code modifications. An add-on of $100, there's a $1,250 credit to go towards code modifications. So if that system has to get replaced or repaired, brought up to code, and $750 of that is code out of whatever their non-covereds are, it's gonna reduce it immensely. It goes towards water heater or HVAC. So just knowing the difference of the coverage, you know, basic is basic, First Class Plus, max plan, you get more coverage. So I know we haven't seen them, they're kind of coming in at last minute deals with homeowners at the end, they don't wanna do XYZ, they're able to get a home warranty. Let me know if you have questions on it. You know, did you have an inspection done? You've got concerns? Let me answer them. You know, because that's what I'm here for, is to be able to kind of to educate and then to be helpful for y'all as well as your clients. So that's kind of where we are. I don't know if anybody has any questions immediately. It's usually pretty quiet, but you know, I'm here for y'all and happy to answer those questions. But I wish y'all all the best for this fall, and just know that I'm here. 770-595-1173. And we've got brochures in the main area for y'all. Contact is there. The new flyers that come out will be a 4-page, and it'll have a QR code that'll take everything to the full PDF brochure. So we see people not using this much paper now. It'll give you an overview. Click the QR code, you can see all 16 pages of that brochure and the breakdown coverage.
I just wanted to say that they are actually really awesome. Like First American and Melissa is really great. I've had to use it for my personal house a couple of times, and just the customer service is great. And then if you have a problem, Melissa, like for the agents especially, she really helps you like connect with the right people to get like you know, your problems taken care of. Like I've had my furnace replaced, I've had my stove replaced because of issues that I've had. And now, because I have refrigerant leak in my HVAC, getting the HVAC situated as well. Although I have to pay currently right now for modifications, but hopefully maybe Melissa will help me out with that.
It's one of those key things to know, like where your coverage. That's why I went on that, because I was having a call with her this morning as I was driving here.
Yeah,
It's why
you're getting built up, you're getting taken down.
It's why it's very important to know why you want those extra ones, because you can't add them after the fact. You can renew with First American. Homeowners can add different things, so if they roll out new products, it is the homeowner's responsibility, as all of us, if you get information from your, you know, from any insurance carrier that, hey, these are new options, these are new protocols, whatever it is, to look through them and reach out to find out what those are. I don't deal with renewals, but they can definitely connect with them immediately through email, and they'll get them all the information. But they can add on those things, or if they want to drop some coverage or whatever. But they have that option.
Hey Melissa, and yes, thanks for all your help too. You've helped me in the past. But do you guys give a discount if we're gonna buy the home warranty for our client? Will you give a discount?
First American doesn't allow it. With First American Title and RESPA, when they say that lawn's there, they're like, stay back here. It's not something that they're able to do.
Okay.
The policy goes into effect immediately. We're here. You know, it's not a 30-day wait period with First American. So, and if there's ever anything, you know, going on, to definitely reach out to me. Like if a claim's not going right, but unfortunately they don't. It's something that kind of went away, I think, a long time ago, along with some other stuff on RESPA and First American Title. So they're like, hey, you can't do it.
And I'll make it clear for you guys, this is why you buy this warranty. Because if your problem, you call her, she'll fix it. And you can find a cheaper warranty out there, you can do that, no one to call, there's a problem. And you've gotta have someone you can call, because sometimes the company will turn you down for something, you call Melissa, you go, let me see what I can do.
Well, you have to know what it is, and I can't promise you every single claim is gonna be covered.
Right.
I mean, there's a breakdown of, hey, this is what we cover, this is what we don't. You're not gonna get a 2.5 ton HVAC unit for $85 for a service fee. It's just not the case. Like, it's your healthcare is the same, your car insurance is the same. There's different times. There's sometimes, hey, your motherboard was replaced in your dishwasher and it was $85. Awesome. They were out the door. You're happy. But to understand the coverage, and we talked about the biggest test word in home warranty is everything. Don't tell them it covers everything. It doesn't. It helps reduce costs of repairs and replacements for buyers and homeowners. So, just understanding what it is and how it works and going from there.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that, like, some of our clients tell us, oh, I'm not gonna get a home warranty, like, I've had people tell me, oh, I've heard those are just like, garbage, they don't work. So, having to have used it myself, I guide them and I consult with them that, hey, no, this is something you definitely need to get in your first year, and I can tell you firsthand why. And because like you said, it doesn't cover everything, and however, it protects you for those unknowns, which usually happen in the first year.
Exactly. So, and we have the listing coverage too that goes along to help make things a lot better for buyers. Like, hey, we're giving y'all a red bow. We wish you the best of luck. Don't call. And it could help depending on what things are after inspections too, if a couple of things might need to be done. So, just understanding it, how it works, what it covers, and then I'm here. And I answer my phone and text and email, so.
Anything else, any questions? We thank you for breakfast.
This is a new one. This is a new one we'll get sent out, but it'll talk about the basic plan, the Eagle Premier, it's hard to see, I think, here. And then the max plan, so the max plan is the Eagle Premier with the first class, with the codes, mods, and more, and then the plumbing plus, so it is the absolute most. And the 760s for single family home, under 5,000 square feet, if it's over, reach out to me, we have to build that plan out. And if it's for townhome condos, it's less. So, we'll have all of that out for y'all soon, but y'all have a fabulous week. So thank you so much for questions and comments, I appreciate it, and we'll chat with y'all later.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
All right, Y4C2Ts, this is what we live by, this is part of our culture. Let's see this morning, Angela, which one is your favorite one this morning?
Communication.
Tell me why.
Because I think with the way that we communicate is very short to the point with our text. And we don't ask a lot of questions, but when we do, we get more clarity on what's going on. So understanding where everyone's coming from, actually picking up the phone and having a conversation versus a quick text.
Guys, my favorite part of this is she just talked about is seek first to understand where they're coming from. If you get into a shouting war with one of your fellow agents, it never ends well. Usually you have to get involved and everyone's mad at each other, and so guys, seek first understand, try to understand where they're coming from. You don't have to agree with them, but at least try to understand where they're coming from. So guys, I love that. That's a great one for today. Mega Leadership Camp Mastermind. Rob Prince is going to do this. We're sharing his takeaways from Mega Camp. Rob, you want to say anything about that at all?
This is going to be in lieu of the script practice that we usually do and the mastermind on scripts. There was just a lot of stuff from Mega Camp that was awesome. I'm not going to give you everything. I'm going to give you a few nuggets that you can implement. Okay, because there's a million things. A couple of top line nuggets that we can implement easily. Okay.
And we're actually going to do that in team meeting in 2 weeks today. We're going to have people that put that with Mega Camp to come and share. I've asked them to come and share what they're actually going to put into their business, not what they wrote in the notebook that'll go away in their drawer someplace. So guys, a lot of good stuff, and so thank you, Rob, for doing that. So we're going to have that 2 times actually. Things to consider when working with investors. Katie Wildor. Katie is really good at this. Guys, our training calendar is second to no one's. I mean, no one even in the raw groups of guys. This is amazing. Katie, thank you for doing that. And that's Wednesday, August 23rd from 11 to 12. Did I hear something? Cool. All right. Way to go, Katie. You're invited. Join us for our lunch and our Fundamentals of Education class. Thursday, August the 24th. Supreme Lending is going to do this for us. Do you decide for this, Kimberly? RSVP or not?
We have the lunch at 11:30. First, we're gonna have the party wagon, burgers, hot dogs. So come over, even if you don't come to this class at 1 o'clock, you can join us for lunch. It starts at 11:30. Then at 1 p.m. the CE class. You need to RSVP for this class and get the credits. phase 1 to 4 p.m. We posted on the Facebook page right there, and we're gonna send you, and I sent a couple of emails yesterday as well. So,
And for however many people come to the paddy wagon, Camilla's gonna eat that many hot dogs before the ceremony, so try to get the attendance up.
You all, this is a really good lunch. I mean, they cook these burgers fresh, guys, and they're delicious. So I promise you, Jim will be there for it because he loves burgers. Five Guys Burgers and Fries. Corey Newton, productivity, agents who want to have leads to call and be in an environment to win. Come lead generate with us. Receive income earning leads, conversation framework, and support on the site. This is August 31st at 9:30 to 12:30 at her office, Lower Roswell Road. How do they need to reach out to her?
You can email her or text her.
Guys, and we actually have an announcement at the end that someone else is doing this for us also, guys. We want to make sure that you have leads. As my friend Rob Pritt says, there are no bad leads, there is leads you need to nurture. So guys, show up for this, and we're going to have an announcement about something going on here that's changed here that I think you'll be excited about at the end of the meeting, so stay tuned.
What's the date?
What'd you ask?
31st. Thank you.
Thanks for asking, okay? Lunch and learn. Let's talk about diversity and inclusion. Who's going to talk about diversity and inclusion today? Somebody talk about it, come on.
We are having a roundtable on the 31st, and we're gonna talk about how religion and people's spiritual beliefs affect their home buying decisions.
Right, and we're gonna discuss how you can work with your clients more effectively, knowing some of the cultures and knowing some of the traditions when you're working with them, so you're more knowledgeable and you can be like, oh, I actually know about that. So it'll be helpful.
11:30 if you want.
Yeah, please come do this, guys. This will open your mind to things like, oh, I never considered that before. Oh my God, look what I've been doing this wrong for a while. So guys, please come do this. You will really enjoy the luncheon and you will learn something there. So please come.
Yes.
Trivia night. Who's gonna talk about this at Pat Jackson's house? And that would be me. I'm gonna talk about it. Great. Trivia night, Saturday, September the 16th, 6:30 to 9:30. Trivia starts at 7:30. Guys, this is the most fun night that I hear. Jim, we don't do anything socially here. We're doing this. Guys, this is a fun night. You'll enjoy doing it. I am the worst person at trivia. I don't know any of that stuff. So you won't be on your team, but I'll be on the team anyway. So just realize you're going to have to help me do it. 6:30, 9:30. Please RSVP through this QR code right here. And Patty has a great backyard. You will enjoy this party. Lessons learned.
All right. So business is picking up, even though there is less inventory and everything, because my phone is ringing more and more on the weekends. And so, a couple of things. Number one, understand where the other agent is coming from when they're calling you. As we said, seek first to understand. Most of our agents in this room are pretty versed at what we do, right? Other agents aren't. So you going to them and say, that's not how it's done, or this and that, just makes the situations worse, okay? So seek first to understand, okay? Another lesson learned. I've had more phone calls recently about large transactions and thinking these people aren't real, okay? So let me hear from you a couple of tips to figure out if someone's real. If it's an all cash deal, $8 million, I got the call this week, what would you do?
It's all come on the internet.
Correct. Perfect.
Come from curiosity, ask a lot of questions.
So if you have a check in your gut, you're probably pretty good with knowing if it's real or not. The Google search, right? I forget who I was talking to this morning. I think it was Angela. Angela's got one, and I mean, it's a good deal. It's a piece of property. It's no house on it, right? And how much was it?
It's raw land, 5 acres in Roswell.
All right, so I don't even need to ask the price. 5 acres in Roswell, I'm sure it's million plus.
It's not that much, but I need to, it's an online lead, and he has a very common name. And the name that he gave me matches the name on the deed. Something just wants me to get a little bit more to verify that he's the actual owner. Currently, he's out of town, and I offered to meet him at the property. And he says he's out of town, he wants to get this sold as quickly as possible. I sent him all kind of comps, there were no questions about the comps. So it sounds really good, and it could be great, but it just sounds too easy.
So safety, okay? I think safety is first and foremost, like I told her. I said, listen, if it was my daughter, I don't want you going out there alone to a raw piece of land. Right? And if you think it's fishing, right? And maybe this is sexist, but you know, I could go out there and still get kidnapped or whatever, but I mean, I think there's a less chance of me and Andrew walking out there than
I'm really hard to kidnap.
They're not putting you in the trunk.
I'm just hard to kidnap.
Yeah.
I have many skills. Yeah, one of them.
He and I aren't outrunning anyone either. Yeah.
I don't think that's sexist. I think it's just smart in today's society. I mean, putting aside all of that, I just think it's a very smart, personal, and business decision. Don't put yourself in a scenario where you're gonna be compromised in any way.
So everybody should have a partner, right? Doesn't mean you're in business together, but you know, if Angela's going somewhere, that she says, even, it could be me, I don't care. You know, text me where you're going, what's going on, and you know, text me when you leave or whatever, if you're in that situation, but you shouldn't go alone. Okay? Andrew will go on ride-alongs with you at any time. So, lessons learned, okay? Seek first to understand. I think that's just big, because he and I get these calls all the time. It's like, at first we step back and try to understand, and once we understand from both parties, we're like, this really isn't that big of a deal a lot of times. So, there you go, lessons learned. Yes?
I want to say something. When you said the first thing about communication and don't interpret what the other person knows and they don't. So on the weekend, I had to show a property to someone. It was my first time writing a buyer's contract. So from the time I showed the property to the time we came out and the buyer wanted to make an offer, I was completely blank exactly what to ask, how to do it. I called up Angela from 1 o'clock in the afternoon to practically 9 or 10 in the night. Those many hours, continuous texting, continuous calling, what to ask the agent, what to ask the client, how to do it. It was a non-stop thing. So I just want to thank her for that. And the way you brought up communication.
And she got the deal.
Woo! So that was something very, very important to instill. It's very important to have that communication and asking the right questions. And what to ask, especially someone new, what to ask. So thank you.
And even if you're brand new or you're 20 years in the business, every deal is different. Every deal is different. I called Cindy Catrisi this weekend on a scenario, you know, because she's been in a scenario similar. I was like, tell me what you learned. We don't know everything. Jim knows everything, but I don't know everything.
Just make sure that if you decide that the person on the phone is a bad person, you decide it, you decide, well, I'm gonna ask him or her for the driver's license. And I'm gonna say.
Yeah, but they can,
So you ask everybody for the driver's
they have
license?
their own driver's license.
No, then you can ask that one for the driver's license. You have to be consistent, because my grandson and I had the discussion about what a bad person looks like. These are what they look like. They can look like me, they can look like Rob, they can look like anybody, guys. So you don't know. So I just say, guys, just if it's too good to be true, it probably is what? Too good to be true. So guys, just have your policies and follow the same policies. Because remember, in fair housing, the most important thing is not what you do, but how you make me feel. Not what you do, but how you make me feel. So guys, just realize that can be very subjective. So anyway, guys, when this market turns, and we're going to have someone come talk to us about it in September, when it turns, I want y'all to be ready. That's why I keep telling you, be ready. And it's still gonna be a tough market, because when that floodgate opens up all the listings and all the buyers, it's gonna be a floodgate. So guys, we want you to figure out how you can set the stage from the very beginning of, here's what you do in order to make sure that your buyer does not lose the deal or have questions. So Andrew Morgan, let's welcome Andrew.
What's that? Yeah.
I wouldn't kid you.
You throw your back up.
I throw you back, that's right. The ransom of Red Sheep.
There we go. How we doing? This morning, a few people have asked me, you know, like, was I ready? Was I nervous? I just prepared this speech like 10 minutes ago. I've been doing this officially for over 15 years. Been working in real estate, I say, since I was able to talk at the table. Grandfather was a broker, grandmother was in commercial real estate. Mom and dad have been in commercial and residential real estate for many, many years. And we are Page Morgan Group. I am Andrew Morgan, and I've got a few things that I am going to draw in first from what was just talked about in the meeting. So we're going to talk about setting expectations. So when I was asked to speak, they said, do a buyer consultation. Well, the Morgans don't do a buyer consultation. We're going to set great expectations. And to set great expectations, the first thing that you need to do is start with yourself. The expectation is on you first. You need to set a standard. You need to maintain that standard, and you need to deliver that standard to your potential client or current client. So in setting those expectations and setting those standards, we have scripts and dialogues that we use with everyone that we encounter, depending on, not dependent on who they are, where they're from, like we're talking about, how much they're going to purchase. The delivery is the same to everyone. And in that process, we're going to figure out not where they're from, but where they want to go, right? Not how much money they have, but what do they want to buy? Because we don't determine what they can do. The loan officer does, the bank account does. And from that point, then we can operate on what it is that that person needs. But the great expectation needs to start with yourself. You need to have a standard. You need to project that standard. A part of our scripts and dialogues, a part of my scripts and dialogues with buyers actually hits on a lot of people that already presented today as our vendors, because we see those folks as extensions of our team. Home warranty. The lady that was up here talking about her home warranty company and what she is selling, her comment was, everything is covered as a cuss word to them, or it's a bad word to them, right? A part of our scripts and dialogues and a part of creating great expectations for our clients when we talk about home warranties is this does not cover everything. That's the first line. We need to set the expectation with the buyer of what we're actually suggesting that they get, okay? It is to mitigate high cost items moving forward. Stuff happens. We call it the joys of home ownership. I can guarantee you in the first year that something's gonna happen. I can guarantee you in the second year something's gonna happen. I can guarantee you in the 15th year something's gonna happen. Maintain this warranty so that you have some coverage. This is not an end all be all. You're not getting a free AC unit when it goes out. But instead of calling me and being like, I just spent $15,000 on a new AC unit, you need to call me and say I'm having issues with my AC unit so that I can connect with my either First American, American Home Field, whoever you decide to use, and put it as a part of your team, so that I can connect with that person and make sure that you're taken care of. Okay? Again, I'm not saying that it covers everything. I'm not saying that it'll be taken care of exactly the way that they want. Because hey, this thing that's completely not covered doesn't get covered just because you tried to strong arm somebody. They're in business and they have standards as well, so. The loan process. A part of our conversation with potential buyers and that process, this script and dialogue is typically going under contract. And for the meat of what I'm talking about today, we're gonna talk about just the initial meeting, but it's not personal. It's very professional. And if you don't set up your buyer for the loan process, they're going to hate it because it's tough. It's hard and it's really personal. You don't want to give anybody what your personal checking account information is. You don't want them checking what your tax returns were. It's something that they've got to be comfortable with. And what you need to set that expectation for with your buyer is the loan process is the process. It is not personal. They're going to ask you for different and similar items over and over. It's not that you already provided it, it's that the information has changed. If we went under contract today and you gave all of your documents to the lender, what's gonna happen in 15 days?
Paycheck.
What's that?
Paycheck.
Hey, we're in a new month, right? We're gonna need a new paycheck. There's gonna be new deposits, there's gonna be new withdrawals. You could have completely emptied your account that they're basing off what your assets are. So when they ask you for your bank account information again, it's not, hey, I already provided it, let's get in a fight. It's the information changed. Provide it to them. If you don't make it a struggle, it's a lot easier to process. Also, just give them what they're asking for. They're not in the business of just doing busy work or making you have busy work. They're in the process of trying to get you to qualify to buy this home. And there's a process to that. So everything I just said was not off the cuff. It may have seemed like I was just working through that. That's what I say to everyone. That is my script. It is not personal. This is a process. Don't fight with them. Give them what they're asking for.
And don't lie to them.
What's that?
And don't lie to them.
If I gotta tell you that, we have bigger problems. And then
my
you and I are
ex-wife?
having a much different conversation and a much different tone.
Really?
And then our YC249er ex-wife.
Y4C22.
You said communication, we're all saying communication. Here's what you need to understand coming from the buyer. And different people have alluded to it as who the buyers are going to be. You can do a population demographic of, this is the largest group per age, and they haven't bought a house, so there's a high percentage of whatever. We're in an age where people have more information than they've ever had. We're in an age where people expect to have more information than they've ever had. If you go to that buyer and say, we're gonna buy a house, hope it works out, thanks bro. It's not gonna work out and you're going to be the problem. You're going to be the issue, okay? Because they are going to question you to death. And you need to understand that that's your fault. Sorry. You need to be the expert in the field and delivering the answers before they're asked. And you also need to be able to decipher what a question is and what being questioned is. Because to Rob's point, understanding where that other person is coming from is a lot different than jumping all over them with 2 feet on the phone going, what the hell are you thinking?
I think what Andrew just said there is so key, is that he's handling objections that he, from past experience, has gotten down the road. He was like, man, like the home warranty, right? Or the lender, or whatever about a transaction. He's got enough experience that he's built his presentation, just like I have, basically answering all their objections up front. And then anything that comes out, that's really a concern for them, not so much a question.
And in that process, newer agents, seasoned agents, if you haven't been through an experience, you're brand new. You've been doing it for 40 years, or you've been doing it a day, you haven't experienced it before, acting like you know what you're doing is a problem. Asking questions is not weak. Seeking understanding is not weak. That actually shows strength. Hey, I need to figure this part out because I got the rest of it. Hey, what is it? What was the intent of the seller when they said this or presented this? Intent has a lot to do with what we're trying to achieve. And we, as the conduits of passing information, we can sprinkle in what we think on it. But guess what? It's not about you. It's not about the other side. It's about a buyer and seller coming together to make a transaction. So, they want the info. So that was just, I wanted to touch on things that were just covered to kind of bring it to the forefront. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go through a portion of my buyer consultation as a role play. I'm going to ask that you don't jump in with, well, I had a buyer and they were looking at this house on the moon and you don't know what you're talking about. And this was the one-off experience that's never happened to anyone else in the room. Hold off on that. I love good stories. We can talk about it later. Like I said, I didn't prepare this on the way in the room. I've been doing this actively for over 15 years. I've been talking about it for over 40 years. Well, probably, I guess, 39 years. If you have questions, ask questions. I'm open to questions. If you're just looking to question what I'm saying, say it. Don't need it. You're interrupting the rest of the people. Cool? Fair? Yes. You're about to be my buyer. Yeah, that's right. Welcome. All right. So we have had a phone conversation. We have had some sort of meaningful meeting outside of face-to-face. We've emailed, we've texted, you've been a referral to me, and we've just finished our first showing. Okay. So if I'm showing you houses, that means I've got a pretty good idea of what you're looking for. Okay. In that phone conversation, I've set two hard expectations of what we just did is gonna look like. We're gonna see 4 houses. We're not seeing more than 4 houses. And the first day is about me. And that's really weird to say because I want it to be about you. But what I need to do is I need to know what you're saying matches what you need, right? So we're gonna go see these 4 houses. And at the end, we're gonna have a full understanding of what you're looking for because you're gonna say, I need a 4-bedroom, 3 full bath house. It needs to be in this location and here are the reasons why. I'm okay with a little bit of renovation work. I'm fine with that, okay? But what I need to see is what you don't say when I show it to you, right? So when I walk you into the kitchen and it's Formica countertops and it's solid wood cabinets that can be painted, if you walk in, you're like, this is too much. Like, all we're gonna do is pop the counters and paint the cabinets. You can't handle that. No, okay. But you told me you were ready for renovation. So when I keep showing, if I don't figure this out, I'm gonna keep showing you homes that need some light renovation. And you're gonna go, Andrew's not listening to it. But you're not telling me what you want, right? So that phone conversation, we're setting 2 expectations. I'm gonna show you 4 homes. And at the end of those 4 homes, I'm gonna know exactly what you're looking for. So I've set a limit, and I've set what I expect from myself and what she should expect from me. Okay? So when we conclude that, we're probably in a vacant house. We're probably in a house that should meet most of what we've talked about on the phone first. Or, for me, we're logistically closest to my next appointment. Because I'm trying to show more than one person in a day, right? So keep those things in mind. So I'm gonna say, hope we had a good day. I think it was very productive. I know I showed you something that was completely different than what we talked about. And I don't want you to think that I'm not listening. I needed to see your reaction to what a split level home looks like. Because that split level house was in the exact location that you wanted. Now, I needed to know that location meant so much to me, to you, that you would scrap what the house is. And it didn't. You still didn't like that house. So what we can look at is maybe the right house in a fringe location, because that house met your location and price dead on. Okay? I don't think that we saw the house you're gonna buy today. We may have, but I don't think that we did. But what I wanna do right now is prepare you for when we find the house, that we're ready. Because when we find it, we can't get ready. We have to be prepared before it happens. Because if we're starting to get ready then, we've lost. So what I want you to know is I'm gonna give you everything right now. You're gonna understand the process better than most agents. So that when we get into the process, we're taking information as information instead of reacting emotionally or missing an opportunity because we didn't understand what we were trying to do. Is that fair? So, this is a purchase and sale agreement. I have my packet, I have it printed, I'm handing it to you. Okay, this is our first meaningful meeting at a house. Okay, this is our first face-to-face. I'm giving her a packet. It has a buyer info sheet on it. It has the purchase and sale agreement. And it has a buyer brokerage agreement. Because after this day, if we don't have a buyer brokerage agreement, we're not working together. So this is a purchase and sale agreement. This is what we're going to use to purchase the house. If you'll give me just a few minutes, I'm going to run through what this means so that, again, when we need to use it, we know, right? So the first paragraph is going to lay out what you're buying. It's going to be the address, it's going to be tax information, it's going to be deed of the page, things like that. That's just saying, hey, you want to buy 123 Main Street. Next, we're going to get into how you're going to buy the house. And that's the part that I want you to focus on. There's a lot of information. If you want to read every page, you're having trouble sleeping, you're going to get a copy of this. So I want you to take it home and read through the whole thing. And then you'll fall asleep and you'll call me and be like, Andrew, what am I supposed to do? Okay, I got you. Right. In that, how we purchase a home, it's going to have purchase price. It's going to have due diligence period. It's going to have earnest money. It's going to have possession date. And it's going to get into a couple other items that don't really affect how we're going to make the offer. Okay? But they're important, but it's not going to affect how we make the offer. So let's say this house is the house you want to buy. Okay? You like it, you say, Andrew, I want to make an offer. I say, great. We're going to come up with a purchase price. We're going to balance closing costs based on what the purchase is, what the Taiwan market is. We're going to generate what that property is in the market. Okay. We're going to have earnest money, and we're going to get into how that works. So we make an offer. We make an offer of $100,000, and you want the seller to pay $5,000 in seller pay closing costs. I want to talk about that part first, because you're going to be my client, you're going to be the buyer, I care about you. But you have to understand who you're talking to, who you're dealing with, and how they're receiving the information you're given. That gives us the best opportunity to negotiate properly. If I gave you $100 and asked for $5 back, how much would you do that? $95. Okay. So I didn't give you $100. So when we make an offer of $100,000 and ask for the seller to pay for $5,000 in seller paid closing costs, we get very prideful in, I made a $100,000 offer. That's what I did. They didn't. We need to understand what we actually offered the seller. So you actually offered the seller $95,000. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Now, that's fine. That's well and good, depending on the market, the condition of the home, how long that home's been on the market. So there's possibilities that could happen. But if we go that route, you need to understand what it means. Now, does that make sense? Okay. So we're gonna make an offer of $100,000. We're gonna ask for $5,000 in seller paid closing costs. We're going to give what's called earnest money. Let's say it's 1% of the offered purchase price, so it's $1,000. Okay. For that $1,000, you're going to, if we go under contract, there's 3 things that can happen with that. I'm gonna get to that later. Okay. So we've made our offer. Okay, we're making $100,000, asking for $5,000 in seller paid closing costs. We're giving $1,000 in earnest money, and we're gonna close in 30 days at XYZ attorney office. Okay. You're gonna take possession at closing. That means when we stand up from the table, the house is yours. Exciting, right? Right, that's our goal, right? We want to find the house. So you've made your offer. I presented it to the listing agent. The sellers reviewed it. There's 3 things that they can do. They can accept, reject, or counter. At any point, they can accept, reject, or counter right there. Okay. They can accept. If it's within a time frame that we have stipulated, you're under contract. Everything starts. Okay. They can reject. They don't have to send you anything back. Okay. Or they can counter. They can say, we like some of these terms, we want to change some of these terms. Okay. That counter, there's also no framework of what that counter has to be. They could counter your $100,000 offer at $10 million. Okay. Extreme example to prove a simple point. If they counter, that means they're changing some sort of term in the contract. Okay. So let's say they counter, and what they want to counter is they need a little bit more time to get out of the house. Okay. So they change the closing date. They want to change the attorney, and they want more earnest money. Okay. Now we talked about earnest money before, and I'll explain how that works in a second. Again. How many times have I brought up earnest money?
Twice.
It's pretty important. I don't know if you know that. It's pretty important how it's handled and what the expectation of your client is pretty high. Okay. So they're going to change those terms, and you say, if that's all they're changing, I want to buy the house. We sign, we're under contract. Okay. So we've signed, we're under contract, we're what's called binding. We sign and go binding today. Day 1 of all timelines is tomorrow. So when the earnest money is due, the first day of due diligence, financing, appraisal, contingency, if we have any of those things. Did I say when we have those things? I didn't. Do you have to have those things? No. Do you have to have earnest money?
No.
No, you do not. Should you? Are you gonna get through the contract without it? Probably not. You know, but it's not a requirement. So that's where people, this is required. No, it's not. So,
And Andrew, earnest money, Miss Hannah, earnest money is the one thing the real estate commission will come at.
oh, you wanna lose your license? Go ahead and make some stuff up with how you handle the earnest money. Yeah, you're done.
Even if you leave it in your car for 2 days, forget about it.
You're done.
Don't
So-
have to be glad.
So, we're there, we're under contract. Day one is tomorrow. Okay, that's your due diligence period, your financing contingency, your appraisal contingency, if we have those contingencies. Earnest money would be due, we have earnest money, okay, and the process starts. We're under contract, the earnest money is due. That earnest money is likely gonna be a check made out to my brokerage. You're gonna give me that check, I'm gonna give it to my broker. That money is coming out of your account. It is being deposited by the broker. What am I telling you? You better give me a good check, bruh. You know, but I'm saying it in a professional manner. And I'm letting them know, you're not just handing me the check, I'm not just holding it till something else happens. We're under contract, the process has started, let's go, okay?
Money is being spent.
Yes, these things are happening, okay? So, you give me that earnest money, I give it to my broker, that money comes out of your account. Okay? We talked about 3 things that happen with earnest money, okay? We're talking about the scary part first. You can lose it. You can forfeit it, it can be taken from you. Okay? Everyone else is gonna shy away from that. Just like my commission, I'm not scared to talk about it. If you break the contract, you don't act earnestly and honestly within the confines of the rules of the contract, you're going to forfeit that money, and you should, because you were not honest and you broke the contract. So when I do that, I also say you broke the contract and emotions. Okay? You did this, you broke it, I didn't do it. Okay? You broke the contract. You would forfeit that money. Now, what those reasons are, we would get through that because every transaction is what? Different, right? There are no standards in real estate. Okay? Every contract is different. So why and how that would happen will be explained to you when we're putting the offer together. Okay? But if you break the contract, you forfeit that earnest money. Okay? If you cancel the contract, you could get the earnest money back. Did I guarantee her anything?
No.
No. Now, if she cancels the contract in the way I'm about to explain it, she should absolutely get the money back, right? But is that my call, Jim?
Yes, sir.
It is not. Is that their call? It is not. Okay? If buyers and sellers want to really get into it, it could be a big deal for a long time. Okay? You could get your money back. Canceling the contract is not going to closing for a reason stipulated in the contract. If you have contingencies, if there are other stipulations that would warrant the return of the earnest money, okay? So you could lose it, the scary part. You break the contract. You could get it back if you cancel the contract, in the confines of the contract. Or you can use it, and that's what we want to do. We want you to use that earnest money. What that means is we have gone from contract to closing, and at the closing table, I'm gonna tell you, here is your money. It's being credited back to you. No one's giving it to you, it was yours the whole time. Right? And now, that's going to be a credit to you, reducing your cash to close. Not their closing costs. Everybody understand that? Closing costs and cash to close are not the same thing. Okay. This is gonna reduce your cash to close, what you need to bring. So if you have a lender, they're going to itemize it out and show you that, hey, you're getting this credit, okay? We wanna use that money. Because when we go under contract, we're not going, wee houses, let's see if this works. We're in a house you wanna buy. And we're gonna do what we can to make that happen. Okay, so that's the 3 things that could happen with earnest money. Any questions? If we have a due diligence period, a financing contingency, or an appraisal contingency, those are contingencies that protect you, the buyer. Okay, depending on how we negotiate is gonna depend on if we have them, if they're required by a lender, or if we don't need them, okay? So let's say we have a due diligence period. For a due diligence period, I call it the don't be scared clause. For any reason, without any reason, with the only limitation being time, you, the buyer, may cancel the contract and you should receive your earnest money back. Like I also said, we're not going, "We houses, let's see what happens." I'm setting the expectation that you're not going to bastardize the due diligence period. We're not going to use it against the other party. We're going to use it to protect ourselves because we're going to do our diligence. The purpose of the due diligence period is for us to make sure this house is what we thought it was. It is not to prove we shouldn't buy this home. It's not a negative thing. It's, hey, I like this house. I had a feeling it meets my needs. We were able to agree to terms that make sense for me to move forward to purchase it. I'm looking for unknown things prior to having that feeling. That would make me say, either one, I'm not buying this home, or two, I would buy this home if these things happen. Okay? And that's the purpose of the due diligence period. Now, like I said, its only limitation is time. Once its time expires, it goes away. It no longer exists. So again, per contract, per offer, we'll get through what that means. You understand? Okay. That time frame would also be day one, tomorrow, if we went under contract today. Okay. So that's earnest money, due diligence period, financing and appraisal. Okay. I'm going to talk with your lender if you have one. Okay. I'm going to put you with a lender if you don't have one. If you don't need one, I need a letter that says this is your private money mortgage. You're getting a portfolio loan from your asset manager, or something that tells me officially these are all of my assets that I could purchase a home. Whatever that is, I don't care. I just need to know. You need to tell me you can buy a house. And you need to tell me now. Because if you're serious, you will. If you're like, I don't know, bye. You're showing me that you're not going to act in good faith, or that you're not acting in good faith now. You don't have to buy a house tomorrow for me to love you, right? Or for you to be my client. You have to be open and honest. We're having a conversation. Hey, we're going through this process. It might be 6 months before we buy. Great. I don't care if you buy a house today or 10 years from now. Now is the time to find out what the process is, so that when you're ready, we're ready. Okay. So that is the explanation of making an offer, kind of going through the process. That financing and appraisal contingency, I skipped that. The financing and appraisal contingency part of it is going to be based off of how much we can leverage you without over leveraging you. Because in this market, as a buyer, it's still very tough out there. And so we need to find where we can make you appear to be the best buyer without over leveraging. And so we're going to go through that process too with either your lender or your money manager, however that goes. Yep. So that's me at the buyer consultation after our first face-to-face, explaining what an offer is, how it affects us. Beyond that point, it would be, here's what to expect in home inspection and those kinds of things. I'm not going to get into that, but still, in that process, what to expect in a home inspection is setting great expectations for the buyer. What to expect in making an offer. You're not afraid to make an offer anymore. You know the contract better than most agents because I told you. And I told you as much about the contract that's not gonna just melt your face, which is, it gets borderline there, right? But I'm showing what value I can add because I just taught them everything they know about real estate. But they don't know everything I know about real estate, and they know it. So we have just made a bond of, we're gonna work together. This guy knows what he's talking about, and he cares that I understand. He wants me to know. He doesn't want me to be questioning him, and he's willing to answer questions if I have them. We just got into business.
No. There are a lot of new agents in here. Please cover the sign.
Fire brokers, okay. So, does anybody know what it says at the top of the fire brokerage agreement?
Yeah.
Not you. You might know what it says. It's unlawful to act as an agent for someone that you are not representing.
And one more time.
It's unlawful to act as an agent for someone that you are not representing.
Is that the same as against the law?
Yes. Very, very simple. It's unlawful to do it. You are pretending to be something that you're not, even though you are an agent. You are not their agent. And if you are not signed to represent them, they being the buyer, who do you represent?
The seller.
The seller. And that's in your agreement with FMLS. Our office coach is doing a great job answering my questions, by the way. But you represent the seller, and that's a part of your FMLS agreement. So
Andrew, my agent that called the buyer said I didn't have to sign it.
he or she are not doing their job, and I'm gonna do mine. And I love when people say, I've never had to sign this before. It's unfortunate that the person you worked for before didn't have standards. Cut them off at the knees. It's unfortunate that that person was willing to do things outside the law. A part of my script to buyers is I will do anything I can for you in this process, except for go in an attic, crawl in a crawl space, or break the law. And a lot of my clients are people that I went to college with, and they're like, Andrew, huh? And I say, I won't do anything that would break the law that would jeopardize my real estate license. But I will do anything I can for you except climb an attic staircase, crawl in a crawl space, or break the law in which it would jeopardize my real estate license.
I wanna hear the story when you learned you shouldn't climb up the attic.
I'm just smarter than I look. I just kind of eyeballed it. I was like, that ain't for me. That ain't for me. So that buyer brokerage agreement, back to the question, the statement. Get it signed. Show that you are a professional. Show that you have expectations of that buyer. Do we have time? I don't want to like. What's that? Okay, I can talk for hours. I don't want to kill you by time. On the buyer brokerage agreement, this is how I explain it. Yes.
Do you try to do that before you go out for the first showings?
No. I have done nothing to show that we should work together. And I've provided zero information that says I represent you. Now, after we saw those 4 houses, and after I just explained how a contract works, if they're not choosing to work with me, something else is up, that's not my problem, I'm out. So either they're not really a buyer, or they were testing me to see if, their mom knew what they were doing, or their sorority sister who just got their license, whatever that is. They're coming to me to see like, what's the difference? But if they're not working with me, I'm gone. Back to I will only show you 4 houses on that first day. Here's one that agents kind of gasp at when I say it. I'm also not going to show you more than 8 houses without an offer. Period. I'm not. Here's why. And this is the conversation. I'm not showing you more than 8 homes without an offer. Because if I've shown you 8 houses and you don't have an offer, one of 2 things have happened. Either you're not telling me or I'm not listening. Something is wrong. Say it up front. Set the great expectation of we're only looking at 8 houses. If you're out here going, well, I showed Johnny 80 homes. Welcome to your fault records. How can I direct your call? That's on you. You either they weren't telling me, there's something that I've missed. You forgot to tell me that, something about it. Or I'm not listening. I just actually missed it. You said it. But something is wrong. And admitting that something is wrong before it happens is also okay. I've set the expectation that we're going to talk about it. If I've shown you 8 homes and you haven't made an offer, we're going to talk. Because either you're not telling me or I'm not listening. And that's fair. That's a two-way street. And I'm not saying I'm never working with you, we're done. I'm saying we got to stop. We got to start over. You have an unrealistic typically what it is you have an unrealistic expectation that you haven't shared with me yet. You're going to tell me that your great uncle bought a house for $39,000 and he keeps telling you that he bought a house for $39,000. And that's what you're going to do in East Cobb for the 7-bedroom home because that's what your uncle did. But you didn't tell me, and your uncle didn't tell you that he bought that house in 1937. Okay? So we're going to get to the bottom of that. But I'm not showing you 8 houses, more than 8 houses without an offer, because we're going to talk about it. Either I'm not listening, or you didn't tell me, or I'm not listening. We missed something, or we're going to get it right.
So when you get the 8th house and we haven't done the right one yet, what do you do next?
They usually say, what happened? I've set the expectation that we're going to have the conversation. And when they say, Andrew, what's wrong? I don't get, well, it was you. They're asking me a question that I've prepared them to ask. They're not questioning me. They're not saying Andrew doesn't know what he's doing. We haven't found a house yet.
And how many of those did they say, hey, I want to go see this one, and you're like, we're not going to that one, and here's why?
Absolutely. Because after that first meeting, I should know exactly what they're looking at. And when somebody sends me
the power lines behind
the 3 a.m. Zillow, when they're under the sheets with the iPad and they just hit send to Andrew, like those are the sexy pictures that I get at night. So $7 million house that they're never going to buy. But at 3 a.m. when they're under the sheets with their iPad and they hit share, my first call at 9 a.m. is, this house has a pool, which you don't want. This house is in the wrong school district, which you don't want. And this house doesn't have a basement. Are any of these items okay with you? So I'm going to list the probably 5 things that don't meet their needs, but in their delirious search, they're like, oh, Andrew didn't show me this one, pow! And I'm gonna say, here's the reasons why I didn't send you this property. Has your criteria changed? We're having a conversation. And if it has, cool, great. Now, I'll send you these homes. But you didn't tell me that not having a basement was okay, because you said, verbatim, I have to have a basement. But when they saw a 5,000 square foot house on a slab, that still had enough room. It had the room for the nursery, it had the room for the grandkids, it had the room for whatever that means. And they didn't realize that not having a basement was fine. They needed the nursery. So.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
So you get to the 8th house, you set the expectation. So assuming that you modify, someone's wants gets modified, do you continue on at that point with them, or do you refer them out to someone else?
No, we continue. That's what I'm saying. Like, at 8 houses, I'm not saying you suck, I don't ever want to see you again. I'm saying at 8 houses, we have to reestablish what we're looking for because something is wrong. If we just continue to kick the can down the road, now I've shown them 40 houses and we haven't done jack because I don't know what they want and neither do they. But I've set the expectation that another script I have is, I love Atlanta and I love houses. And if you want a tour of Atlanta, we can do that another time. But my job is to present you homes that you want to buy. And if that scares you, are you ready to buy a home? I'm not getting salesy. I'm doing my job. My job is to present you with homes you want to buy. If that scares you, there's a problem. Yes, sir.
One more question here. Do you have a question?
Yes, a very quick question. What about when you are showing during the process, showing the properties and they saw something on the road, something that you didn't pull up, and they say, oh, Andrew, look, that property looks nice. So can we go ahead and look at it? And then what do you do?
Like while we're out?
Or buy a FISBO.
Yes. And if you know that that is not the property that they are looking for, and they say, I don't care, just, we are here, let's go ahead and look at it, you never know.
No.
They still say no. I know, but I say.
I would say what's changed?
Well,
Are we
again,
just going to look at houses?
But if they're pointing at a house, hold on guys. If they're pointing at a house that we're driving by on a house that meets their needs, why am I gonna stop them from the houses that meet their needs? And the question is, what part of your criteria changed that you wanna see that house? The fact that I didn't show it to you doesn't mean it's more valuable. I'm not keeping you from anything, because what's my job? I'm supposed to present you with homes you want to buy. So I didn't bring that house to you. Because it doesn't meet your criteria. What part of your criteria changed? And they're like, oh, nothing. Like, cool, let's go. I'm about to go show you a house that meets your needs.
Oh, that looks great, but it's got a drive under. We're working on
If you don't want, if you can't do a drive under, then what are we doing? So, yeah.
Any other questions?
So maintain your standards and keep your expectations of yourself and manage the expectations of the client.
So Brenda's laughing over there, and I know she's had these conversations with people, right? No, because.
I love it, I think it's awesome.
Yeah,
Everything
that's
you're
what,
saying is
I mean,
right on.
so here's two experienced agents who are like, no, my job is to do this. If I wanna watch HGTV, I can sit at home and eat donuts on the couch.
I love houses, I love Atlanta. If you want a tour of Atlanta, we can do that later. I tell probably 95% of my clients that's a script, but it's also real. That's how I feel. If you want a tour of Atlanta, we can do that later. There's so much history here. I love homes, but that's not what we're doing right now. We're big boys and girls, and we're going to buy a house, and I'm going to present you with homes that you want to buy. And if that scares you, we have a problem.
And Andrew, what about if they say, okay, if you don't show me that one, let's stop here. I'm not going to continue working with you because you are not showing me the property that I want.
That's if they wanted a house on the moon, that's one of those questions. If they wanted a house on the moon, what do you tell them? Like, what do you say you wanted to live in Pope? There aren't any houses in Pope on the moon. What about your criteria changed?
Well, can we give them a hand, guys? Amazing. We have a presentation for the rest. We'll take 1 minute, just stay with there, guys. And as we want to continue to help you guys grow your business here in this upcoming market, we have sort of some of this come up. So come here, Brenda. Guys, as I think things cannot get better.
So who wants more business?
Oh,
Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Oh, you don't want more business? You don't?
Right here, Brenda.
Okay, more business, raise your hand, right? Okay, who thinks they could get better at sharpening their skills at prospecting?
Everybody.
Hands up, this is interactive. I want to see hands up. Okay, awesome. Do you sometimes need motivation? Do you like need a partner in crime? Like, would that make it easier and more tolerable when somebody slams the door, the phone down?
Yeah.
And you go, oh my God, and somebody's like, it's time to the next call, right? Okay, well, we solved that problem, okay? The Bashira team and Keller Williams has created a prospecting room. We call it not lead generation, relationship building. Because you know what? Lead is the same thing as lead, and that's heavy. And so we don't want to put lead in our lead generation room. It is a relationship building room. And
The Sharon team will be in there most days between 8:30 and 11:30. And there are 6 desks in there. And there will always be at least one, sometimes more, available. If you are in this office and you want to prospect and build relationships, we want you to join. If the door is not closed shut in regards to the curtain, that means there's at least one desk available. You come in, get the desk. There are some rules involved in our lead generation room, or excuse me, our relationship building room. First, we want you to bring energy, okay? We want positive energy. We don't want to go in there like, oh my God, make these phone calls, right? And we don't want to use it to chatter. Now, that doesn't mean we can't talk about scripts, because we'll be doing scripts, and if you have a bad call and you just need to bounce something else off of it, but just like all this extra chitter chatter while people are on the phone, right? And we just want you to have fun. And we want to invite people in this office that want to increase their business and want to get better with us. Because the truth of the matter is, this business is changing, and everybody, no matter how talented you are, requires help and sharpening skills. So if you want to thrive, you need to survive. And this is survival. So join us, seriously. And so today, you are here, you're the lucky ones that are gonna cut the ribbon. We're gonna cut the ribbon today, right after this meeting. Y'all are gonna come over there, we're gonna cut the ribbon, and you all are gonna take a look at the desks and how pretty they are and how it's a nice space and really beautiful, and we've soundproofed it, we've done everything. So to get there, you bring your laptop, you bring a headphone, like some sort of piece that you need so that you can like noise cancel. But there will be a desk, and in that desk, there will be some pads, there will be pencils, there will be pens, there will be highlighters. You will have everything you need. Bring your phone, bring your laptop, bring your energy.
And dry erase.
Huh? Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about that when you see it. So y'all ready to go see the room?
Yeah.
Can we go?
8:30.
Can we go real quick?
8:30 to
8:30, 11:30 is when our team is in there.
All right.